All right, everybody. Hello and welcome back to another amazing episode of the Dental Disruptors Podcast. My name is Jake Larsen. This is my co-host, Clint Berry, and we are going to stay on a topic that we have been discussing before, and that is just some news and things happening inside the dental industry when it comes to the availability and accessibility of data. We talked a little bit about this in a prior episode when we were talking about Open Dental announcing moving to a closed source software. But we want to step back, look at it on a little bit bigger scale. This includes all software and some really interesting and disrupting news, to say the least. This could really mix things up a little bit. So, Clint, before we get into the topic, or I'll just introduce it. We'll just jump right in. I did want to make a quick comment, though, before we dive into this.
Yeah, let's do it.
Clint and I were reviewing some previous episodes, and we realized he was wearing a Weave shirt in one of them. Which was awesome.
Which is at least two of them.
Was it two? I don't know. So the evidence is there that we actually were at Weave. Clint wore the clothing to demonstrate it.
Yeah,
so
it's funny. It's like I haven't been at Weave for 4 years. I'm obviously at a new startup, and some days I'm like, maybe I'll just get rid of all my Weave clothing. But
it's like half your wardrobe.
That's what it came down to. It's like half my wardrobe. I was like, half my collared shirts are Weave shirts. Pretty much all my jackets are Weave shirts because Brandon, the CEO, he always bought like nice swag.
Yeah,
and so like
swag.
It really lasts. It's really high quality stuff. I would never spend that kind of money on those jackets. So It's like I keep them.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, so we had just Weave stuff everywhere. But I remember I, for the first time, watched one of the fully produced ones. I'm like, oh, whoops, I'm wearing a Weave shirt. Like, there's a free advertisement.
So no guarantees that you will see less Weave paraphernalia?
That's probably true. It's just going to happen. I don't obviously I don't base what I'm wearing on the podcast recording day.
So just wanted to point that out because I thought it was awesome, and we can all laugh about that together. Anyway, so let's jump into our topic for today. So we want to talk about an article and a lawsuit that's happening outside of dentistry right now, interestingly enough, but it has some really big implications on data, accessing data, software companies integrating with data across all medical platforms. So, Clint, why don't you kind of introduce the topic today?
Okay, yeah. So this ruling happened back in March, so it was a month and a half ago. Mm-hmm. But I've been trying to do it. I'm not a lawyer. If we need to put that on here, this is not legal advice or any of that. But I did want to do a deeper dive on this to see, because at face value, it was like, oh, this is huge. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's as huge as I had hoped after doing a deep dive, but I do think it is still a big deal. So let me give you the background story. This was Real-Time Medical Systems is a analytics provider for nursing homes. Yep. Okay, so they provide analytics, and they have a lot of evidence suggesting their analytics really help outcomes and reduce readmittance and things like that, which is great. But the way an analytics company works is it has to get access to the records and the data to provide analytics. And so they integrate with one of the biggest software or EMR systems, like in dental and PMS, but it's an EMR in healthcare called Point Click Care. And Point Click Care is one of the bigger players in nursing home facilities, right? Yep. And so they have been integrating with Point Click Care.
PCC.
Thank you, PCC. Yep. For the last 10 years. And the way they've been doing it is they've been scraping the data. And if you're not familiar with what scraping the data means, essentially a bot logs in on behalf of a user, a robot, and clicks through the user interface
as if they're
a person to get access to that data. And the reason they've been doing that for the last 10 years is there wasn't an API before, but even when they, a way to get access to that data easily, But even when they did create an API, it wasn't full featured, right? So they couldn't get access to all the data. So they kept scraping it.
Yep. Can I pause you right there?
Yeah.
So I want to just translate this into dentistry terms really quick, right? So real-time medical systems is a tool integrating with the EHR. So that is your practice management software would be the equivalent of the EHR. So Dentrix is to point-click care, PCC, as real-time medical systems is to Weave, right? So real-time medical systems.
In this case, since they're analytics, you could say that this is Dental Intelligence or Jarvis or what's Blue IQ. There's a whole number of dental analytics companies that have to integrate with the EMR, with the PMS to build those analytics.
So you can see how this, although it's outside of dentistry, is in the same realm where any rulings that could take place in this particular lawsuit would or could impact what could happen inside of dentistry as well. So I just wanted to put this into kind of layman's terms and translate it into how this is into dentistry. And as Clint's saying, real-time medical systems needed access to that data. So how they were using it was scraping the data, which is what Clint's describing right now.
Yeah, that's the term they use to use bots that log in as your user.
Yeah.
This has a little bit of implication. So here's what happened is that I won't go too deep into the background, but essentially PCC started building their own analytics company. Like they acquired another analytics company, so they're building a competing product to real-time medical systems.
Imagine that, right?
Yeah, I mean, Dentrix did the same thing. They're all doing it, right? They all want all the features. Henry Schein 1 was supposed to be that Weave competitor, or I say Weave because we were there, but really the competitor to all patient engagement systems. And, of course, they don't want to give access to anyone else.
They see opportunity to expand their revenue by building these commonly used products.
Yeah, 100%. I don't fault them for that at all. I do hate, though, that they block access to data as much as they possibly can. So that's why this case could have potential to be a big deal. So PCC then puts these CAPTCHAs in place. If you've seen those, if you go in, it's like, are you a human? And asks you to solve them. And they worked their way around it. Real-time systems did. And then eventually they targeted real-time systems directly. And if it was a real-time system request, they made the CAPTCHAs completely unsolvable, basically blocking them out.
For a bot.
Yeah, the bot couldn't get in anymore. Even with human intervention, they couldn't. They had humans in it. They couldn't solve the CAPTCHAs. So it was very targeted and blocked them. And so they tried to negotiate with them to get a deal. It fell through. Obviously, they were probably giving like very unreasonable terms, like you need to pay us $1 million a year. I'm making that up, but it was probably very expensive
to access the data.
That data. They're going to charge them a ton of money.
Yeah.
So it didn't work. It fell through, and real-time medical systems sued PCC and said, "You guys are blocking the information. This is against the 21st Century Cures Act of information."
Meanwhile, while blocking their analytics product, they're building and marketing their own.
Yes. And I think that's ultimately what was the downfall. It was very, very clearly anti-competitive. There are exceptions in, they claimed, this is a security thing. We have to put CAPTCHAs on because of malicious bots, which, let's be honest, that's a bunch of bull crap. Like, if someone has the username and password to someone's thing, the bot is the last thing you need to worry about. Like, they're getting in and stealing the data one way or another. Like, there's no, they'll do it with humans, they'll do it with whoever. It doesn't matter. Like, the bot is not inherently doesn't make this insecure. And so the judge saw through it and said, this is bullcrap. You don't have any evidence that this is providing a security issue.
Yeah.
And so they lost the suit, and there was an injunction that said, you have to turn off those CAPTCHAs right now. And so they turned them off. And this is all back in 2024. Then they appealed that.
January 2024, right? Ish.
Yeah. They appealed that, and the appeal lost. This is what happened in March. They lost.
So it was like a boom, boom. Like it got shut down twice.
Yep. So, which is like a kind of the nail in the coffin on that one, at least for their current situation, which now sets precedent for a lot of people to say, oh yeah, like this isn't a security issue. So that's kind of like the whole background. Hopefully that's not too boring to people. But I think it is a big deal, but I think it's not as big a deal. Look, we're in the dental data business, you and I.
Mm-hmm.
And we believe that data should be accessible and easily accessible and not like super expensive to access like it is right now. So we obviously have super biases, and like this is a big deal to us and a big deal to all the third parties that want to access that data. But I also think that PCC made just some huge blunders, and I don't think Ascend and Henry Schein will make those same blunders. And so I think Henry Schein probably has already seen this case, and if they felt like they're lacking in any of these places, they're fixing it now.
Yeah.
You would guess, right? Because I think their legal team is more capable than their developer team. That's just trolling. Sorry. I know some of their developers. I'm going to send them a link to this. But I'm sure that they can claim, we had 100 engineers building our API and it took 2 years, because they're so slow. You heard me. But it's so I think it is a good thing and it sets some precedent, but I don't think it's going to be this silver bullet that a lot of these integration providers are hoping, like NextHealth. We don't, our current company, we don't scrape data because we don't want to mess with it. But NextHealth and a lot of these other companies do. Yeah. And I'm cheering them on. Like, I want them to win. I want them to have access to that data. No one wants to pay $45 a month plus $2,000 sign-up fee. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I think that this is interesting from two different perspectives, just as far as audience goes. For those software companies out there that are trying to integrate and maybe using a third party like NextHealth or Kala or something like that, right? This is definitely news to keep an eye on and see what plays out, right? If there's more instances of this. From a dentist perspective or a DSO perspective, others that are using third-party softwares, which pretty much everybody is using something that's integrating with their practice management software. The impact of this could be that these tools that you're using may, if Henry Schein or Patterson decide to completely block access to Ascend or Fuse or any of those cloud-based platforms, then your third-party tools would basically be shut off, similar to what happened to real-time medical systems.
Yeah, and this one was especially bad for real-time medical systems because 80% of their customers use PCC.
Yeah.
So it was brutal.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully this can set at least a little bit of precedence for this going forward, where you can't just turn this off for a competitor. Diving deeper into the law, like they have to be very consistent in their pricing model for categories of businesses. So they have to be very careful in the way they do it. I still think they can charge, and they probably still can charge pretty egregious sums of money to make money to get access to this data. But so hopefully we can address that going forward. I hope. But it sounds like, if you're a company that's scraping data, at least this is at least a win and a good direction for you.
Yeah. I actually had a few different quotes from this article that I thought I would share. I thought that they were...
Give them credit for the article.
Yeah, let me see where to go. So the article, this is on Fierce Healthcare.
Fierce Healthcare.
Yeah, that's where health tech, let's see, fiercehealthcare.com. But yeah, they're saying a few things like this, like the high-level takeaway is that people can sue for blocking and not wait for regulators to figure it out.
That's a good one. So maybe more litigation is going to come around this Cures Act and make data more open.
Yeah.
In a broader sense.
Yeah, because what has happened to this point is people have waited.
Yeah.
Right? Or found workarounds or something like that. But this introduced a precedent that, hey, I can
open a lawsuit
and have a basis off.
Yeah, which is actually... it's interesting. The reason why they had to do that is because they essentially would go out of business if they didn't open the lawsuit. So it took someone that was so desperate to do
80% of their customer base.
And so that to the betterment of all of us, unfortunately for them, it was like a make or break lawsuit. Like they were out of business if they didn't win the lawsuit. Thankfully, they won.
Yeah.
But yeah, goodness gracious.
Crazy. And then, similar thing. Apps can sue EHRs in dental it'd be PMS, to litigate when they feel blocked via the information blocking provisions.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there are exceptions, right? Security is an exception. And I'm pretty sure if I was an EMR or a PMS system, you could but you can't say bots aren't secure. That's not what you would say.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I taking the
don't give people advice here, Clint.
Okay, I won't give advice.
Kidding.
But
there's ways to.
They have smart people there too, some of them, and they know how to. They can figure out how to make a security excuse to block people out of scraping. So.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, I mean, just some very interesting news outside of dentistry, but impacting all healthcare and healthcare data and integrating solutions, which is, who we're trying to speak to in this podcast. We want to talk to those that are building technology to create change for the better. We want to talk to those using it. And this is not anything close to the end of this conversation. There is a lot to come of this, but just super insightful to see that real-time medical systems actually, within the lawsuit was given access to this. In fact, forced PCC to change their code, right? To open it back up.
Yep. And I think what's going to happen here is it's going to proceed to trial now, right? That's what basically happened. They lost the appeal on the injunction. Now it goes to trial, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll follow
Discovery, it'll get crazy. And what's going to come out in Discovery, right? There's going to be like
people's messages,
like,
how do we keep them out?
How do we block these people? It has nothing to do with security. Like, give me a break.
Yeah.
That's all conjecture, by the way. That is not, we have no evidence.
We don't have any sources on that.
Yeah.
So anyway, we thought that would be just kind of fun to share because it does impact so many different things within the audience that we like to speak to. So hopefully you found that interesting. If you did, we would love to hear people's thoughts and feedbacks if you want to put stuff in comments. But yeah, like what we're doing here, subscribe to it, help us out. We're trying to reach as many people as we can, but we really appreciate you tuning in today. Any final words, Clint?
No. Other than that, if you have expertise in this space, especially in the healthcare information sharing space, or have experience in the legal part of this, we'd love to hear from you and know more.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Well, thanks for being with us. Until next time. See ya.